Hi, welcome. So we've got people joining us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome, everyone.
We're just going to give everybody a minute to get logged on here who signed up. Thank you so much again for joining us today. I'm Lisa from the Law Library, and with me is Rhian. We are both reference librarians here at San Diego Law Library. And if you come into the library any particular day, you probably will see one or both of us at the reference desk, here to help you with your legal research. So we're here today to talk about some hidden gems of the law library that we wanted to share with you. This is the fifth version of this webinar that we've given, and I think it gets harder every time to choose resources to talk about, but hopefully you'll find something helpful in what we have to share with you today. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. This is a CLE presentation today. I imagine some of you are here for CLE credit as well as knowledge. So we will be sending out those CLE certificates by email later this afternoon once we verify who attended in Zoom. So be looking out for that in your email. There will also be a link to a survey at the end of the program. We would greatly appreciate anyone who could take a few minutes to fill that out. It's not very long, just to give us a little bit of feedback about our program, and that helps us plan programs in the future. And then finally, this is interactive. I know we have a lot of material to cover in an hour, so we're going to be moving fast today. But if any of you do have questions, you'll see a Q&A function. It's a little icon on your screen with two speech bubbles. Feel free to use that to post a comment or question. You can do so under your name or anonymously, whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, so the foundation for a lot of the things we're going to talk about are how you can find them after the program is over is starting on our law library website. So other than the free websites that we're going to talk about, this is really kind of the starting point and the foundation for a lot of the things we're going to talk about. So I really just wanted to start out on the website here before we went into our slides that we have for you today. Just really quick, you'll see just this top part of our homepage has a number of links kind of in the middle of the page. And this is where you can go to the databases that are available through the library, to our research guides we're going to briefly talk about near the end of the presentation, to know what other classes are going to be coming up in the near future. And then if you look at the top of the page, we have our social media icons there for the law library. The one that's kind of in the middle, that's like a square with an arrow in it, is for our YouTube channel. So on our YouTube channel, you will find recordings of some of our past webinars that are available for CLE self-study. And there's one in particular we're going to be talking about that we're going to recommend to you today. So just keep in mind, if you want to go back and find that one after we talk about it, you can use that icon to do so easily. And then down a little farther on the page, just to share just a couple other things with you. We do have some upcoming classes shown there. You can sign up for our newsletter here to know about upcoming events. But then also another thing we're going to be talking about today is our partner locations, which some of you may not be aware of. So this is where you can click to find information about our partner locations. So what are those? Well, we have 3 public libraries here, and Rhian's going to talk about it a little bit more, that we work with that has some resources at their locations. And so I'm going to go ahead and have Rhian go to the slideshow and get us started with a little bit of an intro.
And hello again, everyone, and thank you for being with us. And so today is about hidden gems of the law library. So about this presentation only covers just a few of the thousands and thousands of resources that we have. That can be from print to microfiche, and also online resources. So again, it's just a small portion. And a disclaimer, some of the resources that we will discuss today are may be free and available online, but then others may require you coming into our library or using one of our databases. So if you have not visited us yet, we definitely welcome you to come on by. Our hours are Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, and we are closed on court holidays and weekends. So if you do have something pressing that you need assistance with on the weekend, and we do have partnership libraries at El Cajon, Escondido, and Chula Vista. So there are 2 computers at each location that have some of our databases on them. And if you go to our website and go to legal databases webpage, here on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see which partnership library has the specific database that you may be looking for. Okay, and then we are also available for virtual services, so you can call us or email us and we'll be happy to assist you that way as well. All right, Lisa.
So if you want to try testing out the Q&A function that I talked about earlier, if you have a guess as far as a resource that we might be talking about, feel free to post that in the Q&A. We're kind of curious if you have an idea. Now, if you already looked at the resource list that got emailed out, don't cheat. But I'm just curious if anyone has any ideas. I know in the past we've actually gotten some ideas that we used for the next class. All right, well, just think about that. No worries if you don't feel like posting today. So we can go on to our first resource, which I will be talking about. So CEB, Civil Procedure Before Trial. So some of you may be looking at this thinking, okay, CEB, that's not really a hidden resource. That's not a hidden gem. Everybody knows about CEB. Well, there's some reasons I wanted to talk about this one today. And I would argue, I think it's maybe underutilized, if not hidden. So obviously, civil procedure questions are some of the most common questions we get in reference at the law library. I think it's fair to say we help people with that subject matter every day. And I think this set from CEB tends to get overshadowed by the other gray set that everybody knows about from the Rudder Group, the Thomson Reuters. And so I just wanted to make a pitch today for if you're one of those people who tends to reach for the Rudder Group set, why you might want to try this one instead the next time that you have a civil procedure question. So this is available in print, as you can see from this photograph here at the library. And I apologize, there's a jackhammer going on today. Maybe you can't hear it, but if you can, there's nothing we can do about it. We're in downtown San Diego, so, construction come with the territory. At any rate, it is available on the shelf. In fact, it's actually, I didn't take a picture where you can see, but it's right up above where the gray set sits that a lot of you like to use. But it's also available in the CEB OnLaw database. If you are a North County person, you might be interested to know that CEB OnLaw is available at the Escondido Public Library, a partnership location that Rhian was just talking about. So I was actually inspired to talk about this. I have to give credit where it's due to the Alameda County Law Library. They wrote a really interesting blog post about some of the advantages of using this set versus the Rudder Group. And I'm just real curious now. I'm seeing Q&A. Oh, somebody said you sound great. Oh, good. I'm glad you can't hear the jackhammer. Thank you so much for sharing. Somebody else says CEB is way better. I love it. Thank you, Keith. So I feel vindicated now for talking about this. I thought I might have some dissent over this decision. Yeah, so the Alameda County Law Library wrote a blog post, and I was really intrigued after reading it because they talked about some of the advantages of this set. So, of course, these sets have a lot of similarities. They both cover all aspects of pretrial litigation in a chronological order, the way that they're organized. And certainly both of them have a lot of excellent material and forms. But I would argue that this one is not, at least in our library, as popular as the Rudder Group, but has some advantages. So the next slide, please. So this kind of summarizes some of the things that the Alameda County blog post talked about. So again, both are organized in chronological order. But I think one of the key differences is the CEB set is broken up into many more chapters that are subject specific. It's just for purposes of browsing the set and going to it and finding exactly what you need. That can make it a lot easier to browse the set. So specific example, if you were looking for the topic of demurs and you went to the CEB version, you're going to have a specific dedicated chapter, chapter 23, called demurs. Really easy to find. In fact, if you're familiar with these sets, they have tabs for all the different chapters. You can just turn them to the side, see that tab, flip right to it, and find your resource. So if you're in the Rudder Group, however, you actually have to be a little bit more knowledgeable about what a demur is and where it happens during the pretrial process, because where you're going to find it in Rudder Group is in chapter 7 on attacking pleadings. So if you were someone who was a new practitioner or pro se and you weren't really familiar with what a demurrer was or that it would be found in that chapter, it might be a little bit harder to discover it in the Rudder Group set. Of course, you could use the index, but again, this is just one of the features that really differentiates these two sets. Now, when you talk about the online versions, because we have the online version of CEB in the OnLaw database, we have the online version of the Rudder in the Westlaw database. The online version for the CEB also has some advantages. It has a table of authorities and a back of the book type index, which the Rudder Group and the Westlaw does not have. Only in the print version do they both have that. In addition, if you're looking for forms, which people often are, the Rudder Group puts the forms in a separate volume. So if you're in the database version, you actually have to go out of it and into another title to find the forms, whereas in the CEB, the forms are right in the chapter that you're using and very easy to find when you're using the online version. And then finally, there is a somewhat of an advantage to how much you can download when you're using this in the library. The numbers were a little bit different for Alameda, but I checked for our licenses because every law library has slightly different license agreements with the vendors, but it held true in our library also that you can download more documents in a single research session using the CEB. So next slide, please. I thought these were some really important advantages to talk about and something maybe you weren't aware of if you're not usually using the CEB set. So just to wrap this one up, I'm really kind of joking putting an X to the Rudder Group. They're both great resources. I'm certainly not suggesting you never use the Rudder Group, but and you can see it's well used. If you actually look at the picture, it's pretty beat up in our library and held together by tape because it gets used so much. But that's why I really wanted to promote the CEB. It's a little more cleaner. I don't think as many people are grabbing it. And for those reasons I already mentioned, you might want to do so. And also, sometime you might come into the library, and if you're someone who prefers books, one of them might be checked out. So, you know, just be aware there's always other resources if you can use if the one you're looking for isn't there. But certainly there's some element of personal preference here. So I certainly respect whichever preference you have. Just wanted to talk about the CEB and some of its unique features. So I'll turn this over to Rhian for the next resource.
All right, so now we're going to talk about guerrilla discovery, federal and states. We wanted to discuss this hidden gem because it is in the back stacks on the first floor, and not many people go back there. It's just usually the reading room that most people use. So it is by James Publishing, and it is a very thorough book on discovery. So whether you've been buried with boxes of documents or you just want a good resource to create your own discovery strategy, this may be the book for you. And so this book covers federal discovery as well as a few states, California, Florida, and New Jersey. So a few sections that we found that were interesting were how to handle foreign discovery, domestic, and then also as well as civil criminal discovery. There's a chapter on which weapon of warfare of discovery that you would like to use, whether that's an RFA, interrogatories, physical or mental exams, and depositions. There are also various judicial counsel forms that have been approved, as well as general forms for various causes of action. And so here, oh, sorry. And so there's electronic, digital, and other media forms of discovery. So especially with social media, Instagram, Facebook, this would be a good resource to learn more about that. There's subpoena power, defending and responding in general, any limits, using the work product doctrine, traditional privileges, and also exposing burdensome tactics and, you know, reopening discovery. All right, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll just chime in really quickly on the guerrilla discovery. You know, just like the CEB I talked about before, it tends to be overlooked for other resources that we have here on discovery, but those James Publishing books, we're big fans of them here at the library. They're really well done. And so definitely if you're working on discovery, that might be one you want to take a look at if you haven't been traditionally using it. I think you already got a sneak peek about the next one. I'm going to be talking about the West California Code Forms.
Let's see, we have a question. Is Gorilla available online or only in hard copy in person? So it is only available in person and hard copy at our library.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. A few of the James Publishing books, like the California Causes of Action, are in Lexis. That one, I don't believe it is, at least not in our plan. But there is a CD that comes with it. So there are forms that you can use. So West California Code Forms is the next one I wanted to talk about. Again, maybe not hidden. I mean, this is on the shelf in our reading room here at the library, but I feel it's underused. So maybe in some ways it is hidden. It was really on my mind because it has come up several times in reference lately here at the library, where I've been trying to help a patron find something. We couldn't find it in some of the other go-to resources. And then this is where we ended up finding what they were looking for. So it had been on my mind that it is really useful sometimes, when, especially when you've gone to kind of the typical guides that we use to look for forms, like maybe the California Forms of Pleading and Practice, or the California Forms Transactions Guide, which is like the Matthew Bender. You know, sometimes this is really where we end up finding things. And what it is basically is it is a set of books published by West that's organized by according to the California Code, that takes you to forms that are related to specific code sections in California. And as you know, many code sections are related to forms. And you know, this is the list of codes that are actually covered. Not every California code is covered by this set. It is selective, but I think these are some of the ones that really relate to forms that people are looking for, like civil, code of civil procedure, family code, probate. So next slide, please. I'll show you what it looks like on the shelf. I showed you those 3 volumes just to kind of give you a closer view, but it is a bigger set. This is what it looks like on the shelf, and there are some supplement pamphlets for some that have been updated. So on the currency issue, this does get kind of a thumbs down on that. The print version is only up to date through 2016. So I do want to share with you that in addition to this set on the shelf, it is available in Westlaw. Frankly, unless you're looking for something based on a specific code section that you already have, it can be easier to find in the book because there's back of the book indexes, you know, after each code, you know, in this set, in the print version, but you're definitely going to get a more up-to-date version in Westlaw. And so just be aware of that. And then Westlaw is available at all of our partner libraries as well as here downtown. So one thing I like about West California Code Forms is it has all types of forms included in it, not just templates for things that you need to draft, but it also points you to related standard court forms. So you get both of these in this, again, organized by code section. And the books are organized exactly the way the codes are as far as the chapters and subjects. So next slide, please. I'm going to show you a little bit about how you can use this in Westlaw. But first, just a quick example from a recent reference question that I had. So there was a patron who came in and said they wanted to draft a complaint for identity theft pursuant to Civil Code 1798.93. And the patron actually had written on a legal pad, you know, the code section. They knew exactly what they were looking for. So we went looking for this, looking in the table of authorities in California Forms of Pleading and Practice, and another set I can't remember now. And those sort of usual suspect resources did not include this form. And so I thought about, since this patron had their specific code section that related to the form, maybe we could find this one in the West California Code Forms, and that's where we found it. Not in Pleading and Practice, and you know, not in some other practice guides. But I thought that was just a great example of how sometimes this is really the key to finding something that specific. Another example for something that might be more common is a lot of you are familiar with making offers of compromise pursuant to Code of Civil Procedure 998. You know, that type of offer of compromise that carries with it, if the other party rejects your offer, then they can be liable for costs and attorney's fees from that point forward if they don't end up getting that much or more at the end of the case. Very common. This was a really nice example. If you'll go on to the next slide, please. I'll show you what that one looks like in Westlaw. So if you want to find this resource in Westlaw, and I do recommend that you use the Westlaw version because of the currency, what you do is you go to the homepage in Westlaw and click Forms, not secondary sources. You want to click Forms, and then you limit to California. Once you do that, you'll see the title right on the screen there, West California Code Forms with Commentaries. Next slide, please. So when you click on that, this is what you're going to see, the list of codes that are covered. So you can go into those and browse them. Again, they're going to be organized the same way the codes are. Or next slide, please. You can search. But when I looked for the section 998 in the Code of Civil Procedure part of this set, this is what I was able to find. So this is an example of a place where the resource is providing you with some templates for things that you need to draft. So there was sample language for the offer of compromise and how to cite 998. There was sample language for a notice of acceptance that you need to draft. And then there actually also was a link to a standard court form that related to this, that you need to provide to the court if the offer of compromise is accepted and the case is settled. So I just wanted to give you that quick example. I don't think we have time to go much deeper into it today, but definitely give this a try if you're looking for forms, especially if you know it's a subject governed by statute in California. Think things like a statutory power of attorney form, or even things like discovery is governed by statute. Lots of stuff in the civil procedure part of this on discovery. This really has a lot of utility. And again, I've found it really handy a few times recently helping patrons in the library. So I think that's everything I wanted to say about that. Next, resource.
All right, thanks, Lisa. So now we're going to talk about the Nolo database. So Nolo, they create wonderful how-to guides, how-to books, and we have a lot here in the library in the DIY section. But the Nolo database is free to borrowers and non-borrowers, and you can access it from your home or your office, on your laptop or a tablet. And so there are over 225 publications, and they have thousands of legal forms. So this is very helpful to attorneys, non-attorneys. If you're practicing in an area that you're unfamiliar with, this would be a good resource for you to use in conjunction with the practice guide. And so they have business and corporations, family, marriage and divorce, immigration, travel, property, real estate, rights and disputes, wills and estate planning. So let's go into, so here are some samples of examples of the titles that they have. So there's, U.S. immigration, neighbor law, tenants' rights. They also have a criminal law handbook and child support and custody. So I'm going to go in really quickly into the database to show you how it goes from like the broad overview of the, say, business and corporations, and then how it may go into a subcategory with the titles. So from our website, you would go to research and databases. Or from the home page, you would just go to down here and click databases. And then you would scroll to the Nolo Legal Information Reference Center. And mine automatically pops up because I do use it frequently. But you would just type in the county in which you reside, which would be San Diego, all lowercase, and then CA, lowercase as well.
And Rhian, I do see someone has their hand raised. Unfortunately, in this webinar format, we can't unmute a mic or anything like that. Feel free, though, if you have a comment or a question, to pop it in the Q&A there.
And so once you have logged in, you will click the Legal Information Reference Center here. And here we are, we're back to the home screen where I took a screenshot of earlier. And so you would click on, let's just go to business and corporations if I wanted to form a nonprofit. So we'll click through here. And here you will see headings. So business accounting, employee rights, nonprofit organizations. So I'm just going to go into nonprofit organizations because that's something that I might be interested in doing. So let's click here. And then presto, we have how to form a nonprofit corporation. And then specifically to California, we have one, which is wonderful. And then we also have nonprofit meetings, minutes, and records. So I'm going to click on how to form a nonprofit in California. Oops. And we have the book. And so the book is not in numerical form, and that's just because of copyright issues. But if we, you would have like chapter 3 here, forms for bylaws. Let's see. Other forms to transfer assets. So I'm going to click on a chapter. Let's just start with chapter 1. Is nonprofit incorporating right for you? So we would just click on the PDF. And then here is chapter 1. And if you wanted to download this chapter, you would just click on the save button here and save it, or you could just print it.
And again, that interface might be a little bit awkward when you look at a book. The forms and chapters are not in book order, but the content is all there, same as the print versions that we have in the library. So it seems like the chapters usually load in reverse order. I'm not sure why that is, but definitely the content is all there, and it's easy enough to download the chapters that you need. Just don't think they want you downloading the whole book is the reason that they break it up like this.
Right. And then I just want to add one more thing. If there is something specifically in the book that you were looking for, you can go to the search up here. And then you can just type in, let's do bylaws. And then within the book, you're going to get specific, terms that pop up related to bylaws.
All right, I'm seeing a question here. Oh, is the full set of slides for the presentation going to be made available? That's a good question. We didn't send it out as a handout. I don't think we wanted to tip everyone off too much about what we were going to be talking about. What I can do is I can go ahead and create a PDF and send it out with the CLE certificate. So that's no problem. Thank you.
All right. All right, Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you. Oh, sorry, my one. All right, so all right, so I'm doing the next one as well. So we wanted to mention our digital library with Lexis ebooks. And so we wanted to highlight this resource because there may be times where you need a book. This may be like pleading and practice when a chapter has been checked out. And so you can quickly access it from home or at the library as well. So this, just a disclaimer, this is a very brief overview of the Lexis ebooks. If you are interested about learning more about the digital library, we have a few hour-long videos on YouTube that you can go to and even get self-study MCLE credit for. So we do have a full-length YouTube on April 27th, 2003. That you can definitely look at with a Lexis representative. And so if you go to our YouTube page and then go to our playlist for MCLE self-study, you can find it there.
And it's actually from 2023. I think
Oh,
you said 2003.
sorry.
I don't think this existed in 2003.
So sorry, 2023. Sorry about that.
It's easy to find on our YouTube.
Yes. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the digital library, they're the Lexis ebooks from the Lexis Nexus database. And so this is a huge benefit as being a part of our borrowers program. And you can access titles such as the Deering's annotated codes, pleading and practice, California causes of action, and those are like hugely used here at the library, as well as the Matthew Bender practice guide and the veterans manual. And there's just a lot more titles that you can borrow. So there's over 60 titles that you can borrow. You can borrow up to 3 books at a time for a 7-day checkout period.
And
So
just if I can chime in, as far as the borrower's benefit of having access to this remotely, either level of our borrowing account, gives you this access. So, whether you have the $50 level that for the print items allows you to check out 1 book, or the 75, which allows you to check out 5 books, either level of borrowing account includes the remote access.
yes. Thanks, Lisa. And then once you do become a borrower, you will get pretty much instant access to the Lexis ebooks as well. Okay. Let's see. And so here is just a few snippets of what the Lexis ebooks looks like. So here you can see that you have your table of contents and then the hyperlinks to go directly to the section that you're looking for, as well as if you want to highlight a section, you want to copy it and paste it to a document. You can also add annotations and copy with citations. So let's go ahead and pull up the ebooks. And if you want to know what is like the full list of titles that are available, let me go back. So here is again our legal database page. So you would go down to San Diego Digital Law Library and you would just click on instructions and it would have a list. And you would click, oh, if you're a borrower, you would click here for instructions. You would have to put in your full library card number, and then the last 6 digits would be your password. Because I am here at the law library today, it's automatically going to log me in. So you would click here, San Diego Digital Law Library.
Yeah, so just to be clear, that link on the left side is for when you're in the library and you don't need to use a card number. If you're a borrower using your card number from outside the library, you want to use the link on the right.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so here is just a book that shows that I've recently read. So this is just on your basic home for the homepage for the digital library. So we're going to click on Browse Library. And here you can see that we have 78 multi-volume sets. I'll just click on that. And so just kind of scrolling through here, you can see that we have quite a few sets, California Insurance Law and Practice. So let's click on California Legal Forms Transaction Guide. So we'll click on View Set. And let's just go to volume 1 and then we'll hit read. Takes a second to load here. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the table of contents and let's go to volume 1 table of contents here. And so then I can just kind of scroll through. I'm just hitting the right arrow on my keyboard, and you can just scroll through and navigate through the book. I'm gonna just pick a random link here. It's gonna take me right to the chapter. And so I can highlight, and I can add an annotation, and I can change my colors of the highlight and add a note. So I'll put hello is my note, save. And also if you're using this on your iPad and it's late, you can also change the background as well. So I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to go to my annotations. And here you can see we were just here in the legal forms transaction guide, and I'm able to go back and view my note that I made just a few seconds ago.
There's really a lot to this resource. Again, that's why we recommend you watching that hour-long webinar. Again, you can get CLE self-study for doing that. We had a Lexis rep who went into great detail about all the great features of this, and just, things like being able to save, excerpts of material as annotations, which those are still going to be in your annotations on your account after the book is returned to the library, basically. It's an ebook that goes back to the library after your borrowing period. But, and of course you can borrow it again if you choose and it's available, but you get to save those annotations. And so, it's very, very useful.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing and turn the reins over to Lisa.
All right, and now I'm gonna take over here and talk about the next resource. So we're kind of switching gears now to a couple of free websites we wanted to talk to you about. I think we're doing pretty good on time too. So I'm going to start that section of our presentation off with govinfo.gov. I don't know, how many people are using this. I find sometimes when I bring this up with patrons at the library, people aren't super familiar with it, but you need to be. This is a really useful tool for legal research, especially when you're talking about federal law. So what is govinfo.gov? It's free public access to over 100 million publications from all branches of the federal government. So we're talking about your U.S. code, your code of federal regulations, your federal register, congressional committee materials, presidential materials, lots and lots of materials. It's pretty robust as far as how far back in time it goes. The time frames are different for each collection. It's very searchable. There's a lot of user-friendly features and help features on the website. But one thing in particular I wanted to bring up that I think maybe even if you're familiar with this website is that you can actually search for cases from federal courts on this website. And there are opinions from over 100 U.S. courts dating from about 2004. Another really interesting feature of this website, and this is again something that I can't go into in depth, there's a lot of information about this topic on the website itself. If you go to govinfo.gov about and then authentication, you can get more than you ever wanted to know about this. But basically this is, the official government website produced by the Government Publishing Office, and they provide a seal of authenticity for materials that you download as a PDF from the website. And it's not just a little pretty picture of a bird on your page. It's actually an encrypted digital signature. The technology of this is way beyond my understanding. But you, according to this authentication page on the website, if you use certain tools or apps like Reader or Adobe Acrobat, you can actually hover and get more information, about the significance of this symbol if you're in one of those tools. And so basically, I've given you an excerpt here from the website about really what this seal means. It means that this is an authenticated document. It is what it's purporting to be. It's the official version, and that it has not been altered. And so you can see this might also be a useful feature if it's something that you intend to use in court, and just really for knowing that you have, a current, unaltered, authentic version of the law or document or whatever it is that you're looking at. So how do you search this? Well, there's multiple ways to search. You can also browse. I'll show you the live website momentarily, but you can do a basic search as shown on this here. You can do an advanced search by selecting specific resources or collections, different parameters like dates, or you can search by citation. The citation search feature is very useful. You can click on that, go to a specific collection, and depending on the collection that you're asking to search, it will give you a simple template to plug your citation into. Like if you're looking for a US code, here's a field for the volume, here's a field for the section number. So you don't have to worry about how to format your citation. It's super easy. You can also browse. I like the A to Z feature. If I'm not sure where to find something on the website, you can find everything alphabetically there. And then they have different groupings of documents by categories, by committees, by authors. And as I mentioned, there's a great help feature. If you go to govinfo.gov/help, you can find handouts, examples of sample searches. Like say you're not familiar with the site and you want to try searching it for cases. You can look at some sample search, searches just to get an idea of how you might construct your search. And there's even video tutorials that you can watch if you really want to learn more about using this website. So going back to my inspiration for talking about this, a lot of the things I wanted to talk about are because they've come up in the library recently. So I had a patron walk in really just a couple weeks ago who had this crumpled note with a list of citations she wanted to look up. She said, I need to look up all of these. And she strongly preferred the print versions of these items. So she had US code there, she had Federal Register, and she had CFR. Well, I told her, you really want to use, and this is my writing here on the note, you want to use govinfo.gov and use the online version. Well, she was kind of a hard sell on that. But for one thing, this information is much more current in govinfo.gov than it is in any book on our shelf. So, the various federal resources are updated on different schedules. The official US code that we have in print here at the library only gets published every 6 years. Can be wildly out of date. The Federal Register, we only have the last 2 years. And I wrote down somewhere here how far back that goes in GovInfo. I think it's 1936. It's a much more robust collection. And then for the CFR, it gets updated quarterly, and only a quarter of the volumes get updated like every quarter. So like titles 1 through 15 January, the next grouping in April, and so on and so on. So parts of the CFR in print on our shelf can be out of date, as much as almost a year at a given time. So if you want the most recent version of these kind of things and want an easy way to be able to plug in these citations and search, you want to use the govinfo.gov website. So I'm going to go ahead and show it to you really quick because I thought this one was worth showing you a little bit of navigation on. So this is what the homepage looks like. You can see up here the search fields and these categories that I showed you before. If you scroll down a little further, they have this popular links feature on the website. So for some of the common things that you're going to be looking for, you can easily find them here. US code, your CFR is here. You've got your Federal Register, so that makes it really easy to find these things. You can also see here, there's some special collections of material on this site. These are sort of seasonal here, but these featured collections change here and there. But you can find the help feature here, what's available, finding information. I really encourage you to take a look at that. I don't have time to show everything on this website today. But again, I really wanted to highlight that you can search cases with this because I think that's a hidden feature and a hidden gem for sure. Since this is available anywhere, anytime, free to the public, and it's up to date. So what you want to do, I think you can do different things to search for cases. You could certainly, go to the list of alphabetical collections and find, the court opinions. What I like to do here, though, is go to advanced search. And once you do that, you can see some different collections that are part of advanced search. You can go down and limit your search to US court opinions. So again, this is going to focus your search not on everything on the website, but just these 100 courts that are covered. You can choose a date range if you would like, and then you do a full text search. So I know from looking at the help page that putting phrases in quotes is one of the things they recommend. As is also useful in most of the databases that we use here at the library. So I'm going to just give you an example of a search. Say I was looking for a civil rights case and I wanted one involving excessive force. So I'm going to just try that kind of a simple search here and see what I get. just to give you an idea of doing a search on this site and what some of the features are. So I did get a number of, oh wow, a huge number of search results here, probably more than I would want to get. So you can certainly maybe try to do a more refined search. But then what I can do here is I can limit by date published, and then I can choose specific courts. So you might want to open up the full list because there's a lot of courts covered here. But say I just wanted Ninth Circuit cases, I can go here, and that's going to take my list down quite a bit. I could date restrict if I wanted to take it down a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. But then you can, if you find a case you're interested in downloading, printing, whatever you want to do, you can click to save that as a PDF. And I just wanted to show you here how you're going to get the digital signature, showing that this is an authenticated, unaltered version of this case, the way it was published. I just think this is great. I really do. And there's many other features. Another one final feature I wanted to mention that I don't think time allows for me to show you, but you can search for this. If you go back to the A to Z menu, I'll just show you how to find it. There's a parallel table. So what is that, if you're not familiar with that? If you're doing research in the federal code, in the US code, that one of the really important things to do is make sure that you're not missing related regulations. So the rules from the administrative agencies that have been passed sometimes in conjunction with those code sections that, you know, a lot of times include important details that you miss if you're just looking at the code. So the parallel table of authorities and rules basically lets you look up by code section whether or not there's any related regulations and the citation to those regulations. So just be aware of that. Lots and lots of features on this site. It's super robust. And I hope if you haven't been using it, that maybe I've inspired you to do so. So I think that's going to take us back now to the next resource that Rhian's going to talk about.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the California Department of Public Health vital records. And so you can access this by going to www.cdph.ca.gov. And when you're there, you can see where it will take you to the home page, and then you can hit I am looking for, and then scroll down. It's going to create a pop-up box. And then you would go to vital records, and then you would get this screen here. And next slide, please. And so just briefly, this is great if you are looking for information for death certificates, birth certificates, public marriage certificates, and even if you have a client that wants to change or amend their birth certificate or marriage certificate, this would be the place to go. Just a disclaimer, birth certificates and death certificates, they're for California and they date back to July 1905. And to obtain marriage certificates, it's only from 1905 to 1999, and then 2008 to 2022. They are not able to provide marriage certificates from 2000 to 2007 and 2023. If you do need marriage certificates from 2000 to 2007 or 2023, you'll have to reach out directly to the county where that marriage was licensed. If there is a still birth certificate that's needed, only the mother and father would be able to obtain those certificates. There is a small fee associated with obtaining the records, but you would just go through and click through the portal and then enter the card information from there. Let's see. If you do need a form for delayed registration of birth, as well as court forms for a court order for delayed certificate of birth, marriage, death, or fetal death, you can access it through the Department of California's public health website as well.
I think this truly is a hidden gem. We've certainly recommended this to some patrons who are looking for these type of records or wondering how to find them, especially if they go back some years, or even if the patron doesn't know what county something took place in. You know, that does come up from time to time. So this is a really useful resource and definitely worth checking out if you weren't familiar with it.
Lisa.
We're good on time if you wanted to show it, Rhian. Planning to, but
can you do it from yours?
oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I was doing the I'm just going to put in the acronym there, cdph.ca.gov. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm running the show right now. So here it is. And again, like if, there's other features on this website, not just the vital records, but if you're looking for the vital records and you click on I am looking for, you'll find a link here to the vital records and you can click on it and go to that part of the site. And then you can see, if you scroll down the page a little bit, the different categories of records that Rhian was talking about. If you were born in another state, where to write for vital records. Lots of features here, correcting and amending, as Rhian mentioned. So again, I just think this can be really useful a lot of times for various reasons. People need copies of these documents and aren't sure where to find them. And I think the go-to sometimes is to think about going to the county, the county records department, the county registrar. But again, sometimes people don't know the county they're dealing with, or they just really want to order something online and they don't want to have to physically go to the county office. So just something we wanted to share with everybody. I'll go ahead and go back to our presentation now. So we wanted to end our presentation with what we call an honorable mention. We're bragging about our own resources here. So, but you decide whether they're hidden gems or not, I guess. Here at the Law Library, all of the reference librarians work on research guides that are on our website, and we have quite a number of them now. But we really just wanted to highlight a few titles of the most recent ones that we've published, and I will show the website momentarily so you can see where they are. These guides are really just meant to be sort of a starting point for research, where you can find out some basics about the law of a subject. You can find templates and forms that you might need for dealing with that subject, lists of resources that are available in the library and outside of the library. If there's other resource providers like legal aid, volunteer lawyers, or clinics are available on that subject, we'll have that information linked. But the three topics that we've most recently published on were, first, the Landlord's Guide to Rent Increases and Eviction Notices. And I have to say, I wasn't one of the ones that worked on this, but it is a beast. There's been a lot of change in the law and a lot of complication to this subject lately. And we just found that landlords were really struggling with all the changes and even some local laws being passed by some of the cities here in the county. How to kind of sort out what notices you need for various events like evictions and rent increases. And again, they can be different depending on what city you're in. It's become very complicated. We wanted to try to create a guide that broke that down a little bit and help people not only figure out what kind of notice they need, but even to have sample language to use for that notice. And so that's what that guide does. Another one recently published was one I did work on myself, which is pet ownership disputes. It might seem like a really specific or even maybe odd topic for us to have published a guide on, but unfortunately, this is actually a pretty common reference question here at the library. We have people come in, they're in this situation. This situation arises in different ways. Sometimes it has to do with a relationship that's broken up in a shared pet. Sometimes it deals with like a lost and found pet situation where a finder isn't returning a pet to the rightful owner, but they tend to be really, really emotional and upsetting situations. And when these patrons come in, they're very upset. We wanted to create something simple and easy for them to follow if they do choose to file a civil suit for return of personal property. We've given them a template and instructions for doing that, as well as some tips for how to prove ownership in court, what kind of pieces of evidence you might think about using or that you might need to do that. And also some information on the lost and found pets law here in California, which a lot of you may not know. We do have laws that require someone who finds a lost pet to either make a good faith effort to return to the owner if they can be found, or to turn the pet over to law enforcement or animal control, and people are not always doing that. So we're hoping that this is something that might help people in that very upsetting and emotional situation. And that one was recently put on our website. And then finally, I'll give Rhian credit for this last one. She worked on starting a civil lawsuit. Again, another hot topic here at the library. This is just a really nice guide that gives you everything you need in one place about starting a lawsuit and everything that you need as far as forms, procedures, etc. You know, everything that we put on our website in these guides are, you know, meant to be user-friendly for pro se litigants, but I think they also can be useful as well for practitioners who are just looking for some basic information on a topic, or really just a quick link to forms that they need on one of these topics. So I think we're doing pretty well on time here. So I will really quickly just show you our website again. If you're on our homepage, you can click right here to go to the list of guides. And then you find the alphabetical list of our guides. So you can see we have a lot of topics here. Clean up your record, eviction, family law, immigration. Here we have this new one on rent increase and eviction notices, the pet ownership disputes. I'll show you that one really quick. Every one of these guides is set up kind of the same way. We usually have sort of a homepage with an introductory information on the subject, maybe some disclaimers about this is what this does and doesn't cover. Like for instance, for this one, there's a disclaimer that it doesn't cover certain topics such as veterinarian liens. That's a completely separate topic that you need to go to other resources for. Then we'll usually have some links to forms or templates, you know, again, for if you wanted to file a lawsuit, what other documents you might need, the fee waiver here if you need that. And then we always have a resources tab that will tell you what other information we have if you need to do more research at the library, if there's internet resources of interest, books in our collection, and where else to find help. So that is our little nod to our research in motion guides. We're always looking for feedback on these, or even if there's any other topics that you think we should cover, but that's something that we're always working on. And we just wanted to share that information with you. So we do have a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions or any clarification, please feel free to pop that in the Q&A here while we finish up today. Again, Rhian mentioned at the beginning that we do virtual reference here. If you can't easily come into the library, of course, we'd love to have you come into the library, but do feel free also to email and call us at our reference desk. You might get one of us, you never know. We both spend a lot of time working the reference desk here, and we'll do what we can to help you. Sometimes we can send you links or resources or refer you to other services that might be helpful, or even let you know what resources we have in the library if you're going to be coming in. And while we're waiting to see if there's any questions, we do have another couple of minutes. I'll let Rhian finish up here.
Yeah, so thank you so much for everyone for being here today and just, you know, giving us the opportunity to share our hidden gems of the library. We do hope that you did gain some information here, and we hope that you come on by and take a look at our hidden gems, take a look at, you know, our resources. We have 4 floors of back stacks. And yeah, you're just more than welcome to come in, join the borrowers program. And, you know, you can access a lot of resources from home and then also at the library. So, and yes, here is a picture of our book mystery. This is from last year, and we're working on the one for this year. And we're about a quarter of the way, a third of the way there. But yeah, so please stop by, and then hopefully by the time you come by, the tree will be finished. So.
All right, a few people have said thank you. You're so welcome. We love talking about our resources here, and we're glad you were able to join us today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Great. Have a great day. Great weekend.